tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Good morning, Swarm, and welcome to Tinfoil Hat. You know I am. You know what I'm here to do. I'm here to
Rock.
That's right, banging it out. Another classic one. We got a great show for you today. Very happy to be here. Join me as always, Xavier Guerrero.
What's up?
And Jay Nice, Johnny Woodard. How are you guys?
Good, man.
Good.
What's going on with your hat? You got it real low today. You like Clint Eastwood, you know, walking into town.
I'm trying to live a little more dangerous, Johnny.
Private.
Okay? Chicks like danger.
What does a hat do to make
Because
you
if you can't
dangerous?
see my eyes, you can't see where I'm looking to kill. Okay?
Okay. Did you learn that in Krav Maga?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're telling me
Yeah.
I should be looking out for guys with low hats?
Yeah,
Those are
yeah,
kids.
they're always shady.
All right.
I've never met a dude that walked around with this wasn't up to no good, bro. Guys, we have a great show for you. I hope you guys enjoy it. We're talking late lines, a banger of a banger. Okay, banger, Johnny. Johnny won't give it to
No, big time.
It was a good time, man. It was a good discussion. And everything's going great, guys. Real quick, I want you to go to samtripoli.com for all your Sam Tripoli needs. My calendar runneth over, everybody. My calendar runneth over. San Luis Obispo tonight, which is January 13th. Buffalo, New York, January 20th through the 22nd. And then we got Long Beach on the 28th. And we got Bakersfield on the 29th. That is what Jay Nice will be in Long Beach. And then me, Eddie, and this guy, Xavier Guerrero, will be in Bakersfield. Then we got the Redland. I'm in the Redlands after that. Then the Vegas show. Ooh. It's the first ever Conspiracy Social Club live. Brian Callen versus me. Mano y mano. You live. You ask questions. We debate it. We crush.
At a great venue.
At a great venue. And then after that is a stand-up comedy show. It's a 5 o'clock show and then a 7:30 show after that. Then I'm going to Nashville, Jefferson, Georgia. It goes on and on, Simi Valley, and then, okay? So we're putting together big shows, and then Tucson in March. So grab your tickets at samtripoli.com. Rockfin is where for $10 you get everybody around the world. Everybody Rockfin tonight. Johnny, why aren't you enjoying this?
I'm out on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Why, Johnny? I'm trying to help.
Who are you helping with that dancing? You're not helping anybody with eyes. I can tell you that.
Well, Johnny, you want me to go back to Shady
I
again,
think some
bro?
of the ladies might enjoy Sam dancing.
I used to be able to dance. Now I do. Before my super heavy legs, I could dance. Now I have to do old man dad dancing.
Do you think
which
after
I'm
you
fine
get your
with.
treatment, you might be able to go back to?
Oh, you're getting it fixed?
Yeah, I am getting it fixed.
Checked out the latest Broken Simulation coming out this weekend for
it
that.
is. It's happening. It's
You'll
happening.
learn the details.
It is happening. Next up is, dude, some new shirts. See if you got up all the new shirts. New shirts, just go to samtripoli.com, go scroll down, and you'll see tinfoil@t-shirts.com. You click it.
Dude.
Oh, I know we're going to do a Broken Sim t-shirt. It's going to be the SHL Foundation, Super Heavy Legs Foundation.
Yeah, can we do that, please?
March of.
I don't know why
pennies.
you guys mock me when I'm helping raise awareness for people who need help, okay? T-shirts. We got a whole bunch of new ones for you. We got Tinfolio. I need conspiracies for my bunghole. Okay. We got Dare program, Dare to Resist, Big Pharmaceuticals, and we got another conspiracy shirt about to drop. Go to tinfoil@t-shirts.com.
Are any of these limited edition? You're just giving them to the
I need
people?
to start doing some more limited editions.
Yeah.
And what else? I have a bunch of free shows if you go to, just go to samtripoli.com, click any of these banners, Tinfoil Hat, Broken Sim, Cash Days, Punch Drunk, Union of the Unwanted, Conspiracy Social Club, and Zero, all free content wherever you listen to podcasts. So, and then, hey guys, a couple things. Also, check out the Only Conspiracies Telegram. That is cooking with gas. We're almost at 2,000 people on there. You guys should jump on so people will be like, we love you.
I'm on there.
Okay. Oh, Johnny's creeping, bro.
Oh.
Creeper gonna creep. See if you can figure out which one is Johnny on there.
I think you could find out which one it is because it says Johnny.
Okay. And then I'm on Getter, Gettr, which is not
Like
Grinder.
get her, like
Get
go
her.
get her,
Go get her.
Get her. I
Get
don't
her.
know
Bring
why
that-
they call
bring
it
her here.
Gettr, and that is at
Get her by
Sam
the
Tripoli.
pussy?
Is at Sam Tripoli.
Get her. I barely even know her.
Hey! Hey, I like what you did there. Anything else, guys? Anything else?
No, I think that's
We just
it.
did Broken Sim today. It'll come out the weekend.
Yeah, man. But seriously, go check out Rockfin. We're putting up 7 episodes a week of premium content for $10 a month. That's 7 episodes a week for $10 a month.
Yeah, and
That's
tomorrow for
amazing.
all you spiritual people, we got a live show. We don't smoke the same live, and we got a Santeria person gonna come on and drop some knowledge about that.
Okay.
whole
Do you have any
religion.
live shows coming up?
Not as of now. No
Nothing
live shows.
now. You're slacking, bro.
No live shows actually. I
You
was
should
gonna
get
tell you.
something going. Make that
Oh, I got little
money.
open mics, but that's different.
Are you doing open mics?
Yeah, here and there.
Oh, look who's starting to do some
Yeah.
stand up.
Here and there, not saying when.
You
'cause a
saw
lot of-
Johnny Crush. You're like, oh, I got to keep
Oh,
this
dude,
going.
I gotta step my game up, dude.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Got the laughs, dude.
Yeah, for sure, dude. All right, dude. All right. So, dude, we got a great podcast with Peter Champagne.
Shampoo.
Shampoo. Peter Champagne. Champagne.
Chopin.
Peter's great. It was a great episode. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain.
Okay, so let's get into it. This next gentleman, he is an author. He's got a couple books out. Gaia Matrix, Moon Rivers, Arc of Antero. I'm very excited to have him on. He's been studying the Earth for 70 years. It's an honor and a privilege to have him on. Please welcome to the show, author Peter Champoux. Okay, how was that, dude? Did I get that? Did I get it right?
Good enough. Yeah, shampoo.
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 There we go. Got it.
You got it right, but you said it like
Come
you're
on.
mentally
Yeah,
deranged.
use your nose on
I
that.
tried to
Come
say
on.
French. Shampoo.
The French aren't retarded.
Okay,
just
sir,
random.
welcome to the show. Honor and a privilege to have you on. We
Thank you,
appreciate it. We love the topics that you want to talk about. So we're honored to have you on. For our listeners who may not be familiar with you, sir, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh boy. Well, yeah, I'm just Irish, French, Italian Jew who finds himself in America. And let's see, I had some dreams when I was 7 years old about an old man on a mountain who had a stone circle out in his front yard. And I went out there and kind of flew off into the distance from there, off into the receding blue. So I spent most of my life trying to figure that dream out. And that led to studies in megalithic constructions of Europe and a career as a stonemason. In that capacity, I learned pretty much everything there was that the Templars knew in temple construction. And I took what I learned from that and applied it in the sacred geometry, which is the geometry of nature. I took those principles and applied them to the planet itself. And to see if they're, like you see flowers and such in nature that cohere to a certain geometry. So my supposition was, well, perhaps the Earth's lithosphere would have the same kind of geometry. And indeed, I found quite a few examples.
Wow.
My native New England was where I started this study in earnest back in '93, although it's been a lifelong pursuit. I was named Peter because our family decided to build a house on top of a rock pile, pretty much, and it was all full of dinosaur footprints. So since an early age, I've had this sense of, the Earth being alive, footprints in rock. So I call this the study that I've developed of Earth rings is a study of geography, a study of the living Earth. So
the living Earth, I love that. I have had a sense that the Earth is alive and is like an entity, and how we and what we do to the planet has affects it, and it deals with us.
You're very right.
It's very.
The Earth is a cell, if you will. It mimics the shapes and forms of a cell, and a cell's membrane is what, that's all the brains and consciousness of the cell. The nucleus just powers the things in a cell, but the membrane of the cell has all these integral membrane proteins that convey information through the water, what it needs, what it's lacking, what it can give. And I believe the Earth has the same kind of setup, and these Earth rings that I found are the integral membrane proteins of our cell. In the case of the Earth, there's the center points of these rings I found are quite often centered on plutons, which are like a volcano that never made it up through the surface. So it's like a mud bubble, if you will, coming with a center point. And these, our collective consciousness is what drives the Earth. Dr. Steiner, Rudolf Steiner of the Waldorf movement and such, he observed that human emotions affect weather. And I found that to be very true.
I totally agree with all that. So I was thinking this the other day about home court advantage in sports. And what does that actually mean? So it's like, oh, do they understand the field or the court or the rims or anything? No, man. It is literally just energy. It is the energy of the home fans that that create and control the action that's on the court.
Watching this article where it says that.
Stop. You were watching an article?
Reading an article.
Okay.
I was reading this article where it says that home team advantage isn't helping as much anymore because most people aren't going to go watch the games. So it's becoming irrelevant. Like you said, if they're not there to cheer their fans on, it's irrelevant.
100%.
Like if there's no fans, it's just playing anywhere.
And that's why, like, when they did the bubble, that in the NBA, I thought that was one of the hardest championships to win because there was no home court advantage and everything was equal. But back to your original thing, you had a dream at 7 years old. What exactly was in this dream? And I find that very interesting because I had things that happened to me when I was really young that never happened later on. I have memories that are out of body, some spiritual stuff that happened, magic that I didn't quite understand as a child. Sure. But to have such a very in-depth dream at 7 years old and to remember that dream must have meant that it was very significant. What was the dream, and did you ever figure out what it meant?
Well, it was... we're given dreams as guidance. Many inventors have confessed that their ideas have come from dreams, and I think we tap into the Akashic record. That record of everything that's ever happened in our dream life. I mean, this particular dream that I had when I was 7 happened 7 times. I mean, it was like 7 years. So I couldn't not remember it, and I still remember it to this day, and just excruciating detail. And it was where our family was. We lived up against a watershed in western Massachusetts, and there was cliffs out there in the backyard to go climbing on. And so my brothers and I climbed up this rock slope, and up the top of the rock slope there was this kind of gateway opening, and so I went through this gateway, and it opened up into this like kind of almost like a Swiss setting with like a Heidi kind of house stuff, with the carved wood and everything. And inside there was an old man who was carving all these objects. He had his workbench was all covered with all these carved animals and such. And he said, go upstairs if someone wants to meet you. So I went upstairs up this spiral staircase, and everything was all carved. Everything. And the guy was, just spent his life carving. I guess it was a God figure. There was this woman carved in the bed, and she came alive and kind of smiled at me. So it was like the wood came alive, like nature came alive, and smiled. And when she smiled at me, I just like, whoa, I kind of like my head kind of did a triple take, because what is this talking bed? I was sleeping in one, I guess. So I walked back down the spiral staircase out to the front. And I was confronted with these stone rings, standing stones, with receding skyline, Da Vinci blue going off into the distance. And when I saw the end of the farthest distance, I went there, and I see the farthest distance. So my consciousness kept going, kind of like flying over the landscape. So that kind of. 18, I was trying to figure out what to do with my life. Who am I? What's my meaning? What's my purpose?
Yes.
So I looked at my name, which is Peter Champoux, and it means rock of the field. So that's okay. I looked at some rocks in the field and found Stonehenge, and I found cathedrals, and I found stonemasonry, and that. So that kind of the dream. Kind of triggered thoughts, and in this pursuit, and I've tried to enough. It's like, get out of my head, leave me alone.
Yeah.
This kind of thing. And I just throw out my tools, as a stonemason. I walk away, and then I'd go out to some other place, and I'd run right into the very person I would need to talk to get to the next level of the whole understanding of where I've come to. So it's like dreams spark something, but it's like you got to act on it, and then the dream comes to life in your own life.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about my good friends at Lucy Nicotine. Okay, listen, we are all adults here, right?
Physically.
We're adults, physically grown people,
mentally
making adult choices, and some of us like nicotine. Okay, some of us like to take nicotine to relax, focus, or just unwind after a long day. Okay, Lucy is a modern oral nicotine company that makes nicotine gum, lozenges, okay, and pouches for adults who are looking for the best, most responsible way to consume nicotine, okay? It's the new year. It's 2022. Why not start out by switching to a new nicotine product that you can feel good about? Come on, man. Get some. Okay, if you enjoy using nicotine, you should definitely check out Lucy's products at lucy.co. That is LUCY.co, and use the promo code tinfoil at checkout. All right. Also, I have to say this disclaimer for you. Okay, warning: this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Remember, if you're interested in a better way to use nicotine, you visit lucy.co and use the promo code tinfoil.
Do you think there's a difference between dreams and visions? I've heard some people say that those dreams that you remember and they're vivid, they're more like visions than actual dreams.
I think it's possible. I think dreams could be all different things. Like dreams could be like visions, like you're saying, predictions like he's talking about. It could be you traveling to other dimensions. I mean, like
regret. A lot of people dream regret.
Yeah, the one thing I really hate is that I can't remember my dreams anymore.
Yeah, at all? Tough. Not even like for 5 seconds?
I get up, boom. I'm gone. Like back. God, what happened?
Damn.
I remember them sometimes.
Something I've noticed is that when I smoke weed, I confess to smoking weed.
You're allowed, brother.
I don't dream.
Oh, I heard Ari say that. Yeah, Ari said that when he stopped smoking, he forgot what it was like to dream, and all his dreams started rushing back. He started having all these.
So he doesn't smoke weed anymore?
No, he just stopped briefly, like sometime, like I don't know, when he's doing sober October or whatever. And I remember him saying that.
Well, I don't drink or do drugs or do anything, and I mean, I'm not saying I don't have dreams because I occasionally will have a dream, but I don't remember them enough to like.
Did you dream when you were on drugs? Do you remember that?
No.
No, you just pass
certainly
out.
Don't often have those dreams where it's like a narrative, where it's like a long thing that you're kind of going through and experiencing. And when I do, I remember those. But
I remember a dream I had when I was a kid, just running through a parking garage, chasing a giant number.
Do you have that thing? Do you remember the number, first of all?
Yeah.
I want to say it was 9.
Interesting. Do you have that?
We can go there.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
9 or it was like, I'm pretty sure it's 9.
Do you have that thing where you have a dream and you can't remember if you just had the dream or if it was something that you dreamt like years ago? Do you know? Does that confusion ever happen in your brain? Where
no.
Sometimes I'll think of a dream and I'll be like, was that last night? Or
Yeah,
I think it's
I
something
get
where
that.
they
I get
sit in
that.
your brain that you
Yeah.
can't remember if it was 20 years ago. Or
So get back on track real quick, because I just think that the world is so much more interesting than we're ever let to understand.
Yeah.
And that so much of our society is dictated by people who live in giant metropolises that basically is set up to stop the magic from happening. So much concrete, so much energy, so much this, that. It's really hard to get the magic that this realm, or whatever you want to call it, truly is. And I think that's why when you get outside and you go to these amazing places, like I've now started, like I follow on Instagram, I use the Broken Sim Instagram just to follow all these cool places, either on that or Reddit, right? Just to like, and I write them down where I
hear
want
that,
to
right,
go.
Johnny? That's why it's for.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's not like the creep, but like these amazing places, kind of like these, sacred, basically sacred sacred sites that let you know that like something happened here that was way more interesting than they want to tell us. And it's not to me, and Peter, I'd love to hear your point. The notion of dinosaurs, fine. I think there was something else going on, and those animals, because in my humble opinion, the things we see in museums aren't real. Like they'll tell you that's not a real dinosaur born. That is a plaster cast of a dinosaur.
They have like 3 parts of the whole dinosaur.
Yeah. So, but something is, they find bone. They find something, and it's from a different time. And even these stories in these holy books of these what would be considered like almost sci-fi or fantasy, like something was going on back then that was way more interesting. That something happened, times have changed, and we don't see that as much except for these sacred sites. What are your thoughts on that, Peter?
Well, it was a different Earth back then. It was before the fall of the ice canopy in the 40 days and 40 nights that was recorded by multiple myths around the planet consistently, that there was this flood. So where'd all the water come from? The only place it could have come from is the sky. And, when you're living in a, like a highly charged magnetic field that the Earth doesn't have right now, there's a lot more stimulus for gigantism to happen, so we have this whole race of giants that's been, like buried under the Smithsonian's carpet, that were found in the Americas. When the early explorers came, there were giants that were, ruling the tribes. There's a good new book out, Giants of Stonehenge, stonemason friend from Massachusetts helped write. They identify all these these giants that were essentially the builders of the megalithic culture. They were different species altogether, probably psychic, and probably the predecessors of what we call Sasquatch right now. Those giants are kind of regulated to living in the dark because of the excessive radiation that we have to bear on the planet now. We only live to be 70 years old, 90 if you're lucky. where in those way back times, in the Bible and myth, they'd speak of people living to 1,000 years.
Yep.
So and to do that, you would have to have considerably less radiation. And the only way you can do that is by having a canopy that blocks the radiation and a really good magnetic field that also deflects the solar plasma that's heading our way. So, we're light and all that stuff kind of affects consciousness, and the magnetic field affects consciousness and the ability to grow.
Peter, do you believe in maybe not necessarily, but maybe you do believe in it, like the notion of Tartaria, ancient civilizations, stuff like that were here? Obviously you talked about the Great Flood. We've done extensive discussions on that. But
Sure.
Do you believe in there was empires before that got wiped out, whether it's by the flood or by,
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's like fact. It's not a belief system. You go out all around the whole planet. You go down to the 350-foot depth on the continental shelves, and you find ancient civilizations there. Quite complicated. They're all into pyramids and the megalithic culture and such. And that's kind of they screwed up, or something happened with some asteroid came through, and the system that they had set up, the megalithic system, was a fertilizing system. You didn't have all these nitrate fertilizers and everything, and cow manure to throw everywhere. So they use this megalithic system to, standing stones and ley lines and Stonehenge to increase crop growth. And indeed, the archaeological record shows that prior to the stone rings installations, the bone structure was a lot weaker than afterwards. So it indicated that there was an increase of agricultural production and health after that. So, but the system operated on tellurics, which were dependent on the Earth's magnetic field. And when that collapsed, when those energies kind of blended, when you look at the Earth magnetic field now, it's just like these blotches of plus and minus. And then in the architectural record, you'll see that the Earth at various times had a very clean, north and south. If you assign blue to one and orange to the other, you had this very clean demarcation right at the equator. And when you get that full force and power of the magnetic field and the planet, just radiating with that full power, it's a totally different animal. And when that stopped, the whole system stopped. The Great Pyramid didn't work anymore. Stonehenge didn't work anymore, and all that was abandoned, and kind of historically degenerated into human sacrifice by using the chi, the power of life. They thought that they could kind of like jumpstart the system.
Yeah, dude, imagine that, man. Just imagine that. Imagine being there and your job, you're on duty that day, you're security, and all of a sudden the Great Pyramid stopped working. And you're just like, you calling a mechanic or something to look at everything. They're like, I don't know what just happened. It's on your watch. I mean, that's gotta suck, bro.
Yeah, the Great Pyramid, it's just kind of like, it's a degenerate form of what it once was. It was, highlight on the planet, but now it's, it's kind of, I think it's run by some dark lords that have taken possession of that and using the attendant connective ley lines that cross there to transmit their agenda around the planet. You follow these ley lines out and you find, like Fukushima, it's like this planet killing nuclear reactor. Japan is right on one of the Great Pyramid's ley lines, and you find genocides all over the place, whenever you follow these ley lines.
Oh my God, dude.
So, it's like there's like this thing, and the Great Pyramid, and we should bow down and give it energy, and it's like it's just taking whatever energy is given and turning it dark. Take energy in, it's
almost
power.
like a prism in a weird way, right? If you hit it with certain energy, energy goes in, boom, it gets amplified.
It's a prison planet, and we're trying to get free from that prison. And ancient aliens and such are like, they're actually showing the prison, as this dodecahedral shape that they claim is the ley lines and grid of the planet. And the Earth that doesn't express in such regularity. So it's like it's a contrivance. So as that gets into world consciousness, them doing these shows over and over and showing the same thing over and over again, it's a disservice to planetary, the organic planetary consciousness that is available for us to interface with. And that consciousness is more maintained by native sacred site keepers, who to me are kind of like, we should pay them to pray at sacred sites, just to maintain the world.
Okay. So much to get into. That you just dropped H bombs, bro. H bombs. So let's let's just go over this real quick, because I think like everything you're saying is something I've thought about, and I would say that this is how I believe it is, and the fact that you've done a ton of research is like you're the perfect person to talk to. So basically what happened is, if we look at stories over time, you had interdimensional beings, let's say, mating with human women, making Nephilim. The story is that, and that might not even be the real story, that might be the story we're told, and that the gods were not happy because the sacred DNA was ruined. The flood comes and washes that all away. Is that how you see that story going? Is that kind of what it is, or what is that just a smokescreen for what might have be happening, which is very advanced civilizations, and something of the flood happens and it wipes them all away?
I think that myth is actual history, and these stories of the Nephilim and giants are absolutely true, and they had control of the planet, and they lost it. When the planet lost its the capacity to support that kind of civilization, it would continue to this day if the planet continued to support that kind of. You look at, like, for instance, the main ley line of southern England, called Michael Mary Ley, follows, it's like where the Beltane light comes across England, and that's on limestone, the chalk of England. That limestone is often where you find sacred sites, like the pyramids on limestone, Yucatan's on limestone. So Texas is on limestone. So, you often find sacred sites at those places. So you take this particular line southeast out of England, and it goes right to the Azores. And what's his name? Plato and Timaeus related that, to find, where Atlantis was you go out through the gates of Hercules, which is the rock, Gibraltar there at the head of the Mediterranean Sea, into the Atlantic, and you take a left to go south and west a little bit, and that's right where the Azores are, and and that's where Atlantis was, and that ley line points right to Atlantis. So it's like when Atlantis sunk, the entire world system and interconnected ley corridors and telluric energy feeds were severed. when that sunk. And where the Azores is right on the Mid-Atlantic Rift. So, and that rift is opening apart. The two, they're moving apart. It's, Africa and South America used to be together, and it's like moving apart. And then you got this arc right there, and so that's where Atlantis was, and that's where it sank. And it's like a lot of places are kind of pointing to that as being a central feature.
Oh my God, it's so crazy, dude. It really. I know I repeat myself a lot, but I know I do. But it's just like when I hear about humans and these pyramids, I just think of like in Michigan when bears move into houses and like they just move in. They're like, this is my house. And they like don't know who built it or how it's built, but they're trying to use it.
They're like using the faucet to scratch their ass. And stuff. Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing. So we have this group of, this new form of life, humans, that end up, trying to move into these things and create, and try to figure out what they're for. And the best they could do is come up with human sacrifice, which is, what else was spitballed at that point that got turned down,
So there orgies, or we could just slaughter people.
We kill people, or we could have really crazy sex parties. I say we kill people, right? So, but it's so interesting, man. And so let me ask you something. This might be fast forward, and then we'll go back. Do you have any kids, sir?
Yeah, I have a son. He's a yoga teacher in San Francisco area.
Do you, when you start hearing about these high impact catastrophes that wipe out civilizations, do you ever get like, oh man, I have kids? What, are they gonna have to go through that? Like, I have 2 young daughters, and I start thinking like, are we getting that point where we are pushing Ghana, the Earth, to the point of having to hit a reset?
Yeah, it's a tough planet, no matter what way you look at it. And I'm sorry for the loss of life that often accompanies Earth changes, but it's a necessary evil or necessary goodness, because in the end it's good. When we have these great catastrophes, there is a recharging that occurs. And when like for instance, there's a pole shift, and then all of a sudden the Earth starts turning in the opposite direction, because as a dynamo you got plus minus, and if you switch those and the dynamo starts spinning in the other direction. So when such like that happens, then you get something like the Andes Mountains occurring, where geologists say, this is really weird. It's like, it's the Andes Mountains were thrown up in a day. How did that happen?
Really? I'm telling you, this is my favorite thing, like just the mysteries of hidden history.
So it's like when such tremendous torque happens on the planetary's on the planet's membrane, there's a lot of heat and energy, piezoelectric energy that's generated by the Earth's crust that helps to enliven the whole magnetic field, and that magnetic field is what maintains life. So, I'm a believer in reincarnation. So it's like there's this constant stream of souls coming and going all the time from this planet.
I agree with that too, dude. I agree. I totally believe in that.
So it's like, we will have another chance to, live this dream. So, that's what I hold, and we choose, as souls, we choose to come at certain times to help or, live an experience that you wouldn't have in any other time period.
I'm curious, do you think now when you go back to this repository of souls, do you think that you have amnesia for the experiences that you had on Earth, or do we only have amnesia for those experiences while we're on Earth? What do you think?
Yeah, I've done a lot of thinking on that one. Yeah, it's the amnesia that amnesia that we're given in this 3D reality. It's Yeah, I think afterlife, you get the full skinny on things. At least that's what the report is from near-death experiencers, that you get all your questions answered, and then you forget them all again when you come back around. But I think there's something in your soul that remembers. It's just your conscious mind doesn't remember. And I think that's kind of like the necessary kind of attendant to free will. If you knew everything, you wouldn't be able to act in free will, and that's really a gift to the universe that humankind is providing. It is to through free will return to kind of a conscious relationship with divinity, and that requires emotion. And boy, there's that persnickety stuff. Emotion is just part of that free will piece that we all have to dance with.
It is so complex, and it's so interesting, and unless you unlock the understanding of that, you have no clue about it. And it's, I could see people who like want to be atheists all being, no, dude, it just doesn't make any sense, right? But when you have this rebirth and all that stuff, it really does make sense. And as we're talking about rebirth, I'm like, knowing my luck, I'll be born right when they flip the system. There's a mass extinction. I'll be like, I'm back. Go, boom. I'm like, oh man, bad timing. I wonder, like, when you go to the people who are in charge of the near-death experience, do you think they like have the same energy as people at the post office who are just like, next? And you're like, hi, bye.
What's that movie with like Al Brooks and Rip Torn? Where there's like a processing station where you're kind of defending your life. Do you remember that movie? Oh, it's hilarious, dude. And you go to this kind of like processing station. It is very much like a DMV. Everybody takes buses there, and you have to like watch your life before this court of like judges, and then every time you kind of look down your nose at a store clerk or something, you have to defend it. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it's got to have like federal government vibe, right? Just like, okay, next. All right, you got to go back, live this one again. You were a real jerk to the guy at Foot Locker.
Yeah.
So it gets, dude, I'm on this. So we get these ley lines. So, we have a buddy of ours. He's a big flat earther. I have people believe in Middle Earth. There's people believe in Hollow Earth. There's a part of me that believes it. It is whatever you want it to believe. That is this realm, this thing. You find what you're looking for, and you can find the evidence to prove to you that this is what it is. And because you're looking for that, like even like my friends are sending me all their new flat Earth doc trailers, which is I like them. They're really well done. But I go, if you're watching this, you're going in there looking for flat Earth, you will see flat Earth, right? I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Peter?
Yeah, I'm always questioning myself. We all have to. That has been brought up a number of times. You're just finding the patterns you're looking for. And it's true. I am looking for sacred geometry, and I find it. I'm looking for rings on the earth, and they're everywhere. But the truth comes out is when there's like kind of undeniable evidence that it is absolutely flat. For instance, if you could see a boat not recede over the skyline, if you could look at any planetary orb out there that doesn't spin, and it's just flat, everything's round, and you can see it's round. The moon's round, and I don't know. You can see the curvilinear forms of its shadow. It's
interesting.
How can it be flat? I don't know. That argument is just beyond me. But with me with ley lines and such, I try to for a long time I was dowsing ley lines, and here's a ley line, and it didn't hold up. You have to have some kind of empirical proof that that there's this alignment of nature and culture across an extended landscape. And so I started just looking for those types of things rather than saying, oh, here's an energy line, or here's a dragon line, or here's a female dragon or male dragon, or all these different kind of minutia that the dowsers have gotten into with lay studies.
Dowsers? What are dowsers?
Dowsers, they water witches, but dowsers are also used to find gold or whatever. Dowsers are used to find pipes and stuff. American Society of Dowsers, have all manner of people who use the tool, and it's dowsing is a yes/no thing. It's a telekinesis. I can't remember the name of it, but it's where you do muscle testing, like a doc holds a medicine against you, then he tries to press your arm down. Yeah. And if your arm is strong, then it's good for you. If it's weak, it's not good for you. So that's your body telling you what's going on. So we are these attenuating frequency beings. We're loaded with this stuff called ganglia. It's a frequency attenuator that allows us to pick up on these subtle energies. So, so your body responds to that, and you can get yes and no answers essentially with dowsing. Or if you're working with a forked stick, you're holding the two forks in your hand. That third point, the stick would go right down to where the water is located, and because you're using a stick that is in the geometry of the bonding of water, like you got this fork here that's, and the angle is a 104.5, which is the H2 bonding to O is 104.5. So if you got a stick that's made of water, willow or hazel or something, and you're holding it at an angle to water, that finds water.
Wow.
It's a stone, or the Great Pyramid, it's 51.51, and kind of, so the combined angle of 50 is 103.5 essentially. So it's it's very close to the bonding of water. So the Great Pyramid is a solid form of water that attenuates to the biospheric water that that it bonds to, if you will. So our bodies are the same way. We have this ability to, as water beings, we have a frequency that is in resonance with water. So we can use that to douse, and we can use that to make rain as well.
It is so interesting, dude. I'm really getting into numbers 369. I'm trying to study that. No, I don't want to go into gematria because I think you could get lost in that and not come back. If everything is like a code, I think you can get super lost into that, and you're no longer experiencing life. But now you're looking for numbers, and everything represents something. I'm like, I'm not saying it's not real. I just say I don't want to put my energy into that.
It's a very wise thing that you can spend a lot of your life contemplating this, and in Hinduism, it's encouraged that you don't start to really study the Vedas until you're after 50, after you've done all your householder stuff, because once you start into that rabbit hole, boy, you just don't go to work anymore.
Which I mean, so 369. We had Tesla talked a lot about the universal, the numbers of the universe and stuff like that. Do you get into that at all? And then I want to get more into ley lines because I have questions about that. But are you into that, like the numbers of the universe? How like 9 times anything always comes back to 9? Have you noticed that? Like 9 times 3 is 27. 2 plus 7 is 9. So if you do that with anything. 9 times 9 is 81. 8 plus 1 is 9.
Yeah, the Enneagram is kind of the ultimate number for me. We were studying the phenomenon of Earth energy vortexes and noticing that there were these certain ring patterns that were implicit to, when you douse the Earth energy, a lot like the Oregon Mystery Hill or, whatever. There's a lot of things around the country that have these mystery vortexes, tourist stops. When you start dowsing those, they have a consistent pattern to them. And I was like, man, this pattern looks familiar. And I got out some of the stuff and noticed that it was the same pattern that was drawn up by the USGS as what the interior of the Earth looks like. So, what that was saying is like Earth energy vortexes are projections of the Earth's energy out onto the surface plane, where all this consciousness is being, kind of conveyed in and out. But so you have when you look at the inside of the Earth, you got inner core, outer core, in this mantle boundary where there's this ringwoodite layer of water inside the planet, about 400 to 600 miles down. And it holds 4 oceans of water, in the planet. So every time there's a volcano, it brings up water. It's primary water. It's probably made from stardust. But when you take that geometry and you superimpose the 4 polygons that you can draw from an Enneagram, you end up with these, like an elongated star, every 3 of them, like you draw a line across. And so it frames each one of these these spherical density forms that are inside of our planet. And over here in my back, you can see this lineup of various forms, like the Stonehenge and the Dendera ceiling, and and the human eye. The human eye is the same shape as the planet.
So crazy.
With the iris being the same size as the Earth, the Earth's outer core, and the pupil, or the white of the eye is I'm getting names mixed up, but the white of the eye is like the mantle, and the actual iris, pupil is the size of the outer core. So it's like we're made in the image and likeness of the planet. So that's kind of where I go, and I work with these very simple polygons because that seems to be what gets expressed by the Earth, because there's this the geometry of water, that 104.5, that generates a whole series of sacred geometries, or geometries of nature. So water is what's informing the world. Anything water touches, it informs it in a geometric way. With phi, the number phi, that's our body. The digits on our fingers and our arms and our shape and our navel and all that. It's all this Fibonacci numbering, sequencing, and fee fi fo fum.
So you call them dragon lines, which are these ley lines. What do ley lines do? Are they just free energy? Is it like a weird cage around the planet? What exactly is a ley line?
Well, an excellent example of a ley line is along the East Coast, where you have this dead straight line of cities in Boston, New Haven, New York City, Trenton, Philly, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, and then down to Mexico City. And that ley line is kind of attenuated to Western civilization, because it goes on over the pond through Dublin and London and Brussels and down through the Kosovo area of Yugoslavia and old Yugoslavia and into the Middle East. So like Troy. Ancient Troy, Greece is on the same line. So you get this, it's like a civilizational energy that arcs over the pond, and it's like a meridian form. It's an alignment of natural and cultural features. Just like a meridian is, in Chinese medicine, there's an acupuncture system where you got all these meridians all over your body. The Earth has the same kind of setup. It as a way to convey energies and frequency over a greater distance, and have this exchange and conversation within the consciousness field of the Earth's membrane that we're all contributing to. So a ley line conveys information across, between sacred sites. So you get an attenuation of war, and it attracts more war. It's like shit in, shit out. It's like,
oh my God, that's incredible. That is incredible.
Yeah. So we can shift these frequencies, these energies on the planet by introducing a new emotion. Instead of having all these wars all the time on the Irish against the English, the Serbs against the Creoles, the other, us versus them. That consciousness is very prevalent along these ley lines. So if we can, do acts of love, compassion, and joy, more and more on these ley lines, it draws more of the same to it.
Okay. I'm starting to get this.
If we instill that with water frequencies, the more water it's drawn to it.
Yeah. Okay, so these sacred sites are basically like routers in a weird way, right? The routers, and these routers are used to almost like in the Morse code. What was that called back?
Morse code.
Was that
telegraph?
Telegraph, almost like the telegraph, and it like moves. Man, that's super interesting.
Wow.
And what influences them gets beamed to these other sites. That is interesting, and that is a lot of power.
That's a lot of power. That's why Washington, they were saying, well, we should have the Capitol here, we should have the Capitol there. I want it over here. We want it over
God, dude.
But Washington, as a Masonic surveyor, he placed it exactly on that ley line, so that Washington could tap into that Western civilizational current that was already, kind of at work there.
That is
3D chest.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
It is super mind blowing.
Fuck.
Like, dude, I've heard of free energy, but now I just realized, like, it's so crazy that you could beam out a certain view of the world based on these ley lines. That's so interesting, man. It's like just Johnny, do you get, like, it's like a megaphone of, I mean, I flunked first grade, so I'm struggling for the right words, but I get it in my head and I totally understand it. It is an amplifier. It is like on stage, like these ley line sites are like the stage at like the Hollywood Bowl, and it beams out the energy, and what is played here goes everywhere.
Like a transistor or a...
Yeah, man. That is super interesting.
Cell phone tower.
And really,
in the Hindu language, I'm sorry, Urdu, I guess. In that language, there are thousands of different terms for spirituality, and in English, we don't have any. And the computer analogy has really given us this whole kind of language of understanding the interrelationships of the spiritual dimensions. Random access memory and hard drive and softwares and hardwares and all that. It really transposes very nicely on the lay systems.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That just brings up so much, man. It goes kind of along the lines.
It's like, boy, it's so much your head hurts.
No, it is.
I'm sorry. I don't want to, stress you guys out.
No, you're not. I love it, man, because it makes, I would rather talk to you all day than talk to someone who thinks we're just hurling on a rock through space and nothing means anything. And there's, we're just monkeys in shoes and there's nothing magical here. I think it's a lot more than that. I mean, space, all that stuff. Like, it's very hard for me to comment on anything I can't witness for myself. Like, that's kind of how I get into everybody, you've done these experiments, you've done these things. I will listen to you on all this stuff, but there's so much out there, whether it's science or whatever, that people don't actually do any of the research, the actual research, not just citing the research, but doing the research.
That's tough. It's not easy.
Yeah, I know, because we only have so many hours a day and we got to take care of our families and all that stuff, which I totally understand. I'm not saying you should though, but unless you're really hanging your hat on something, you should go out there and test for yourself. But it's like when you hear these things and these pieces start to come together, to me, it just lets me know that we're way more interesting than any of them want us to know. And
we're powerful, man. And they're trying to keep us down. It's like we're all waking up, and that light that's coming in. When I was a kid, the sun was orange. No matter what time of the day you spotted it, it was orange. Now it's like this platinum white thing out there that's just altering DNA and upgrading all of our consciousnesses. And
what do you think the sun is?
Those light codes are coming in strong, and they're trying to suppress it with, in my take, they're trying to suppress it with these technologies. Like many native medicine people can't teleport anymore because of cell phone towers up. It's really it suppresses consciousness terribly. And the what do they call chemtrails? With all those metals in it, they're also getting metals into our brain, and like Lyme's disease that affects the ability of the brain. So that there are all these diseases, and now the clot shot that's being pushed now. It's the same kind of thing to suppress consciousness because they're losing control. The pyramidal structure of church and state is crumbling, and people aren't buying into it anymore. The churches are getting empty, and nobody's believing what the guy on top is saying anymore. So we're returning to the time of the sacred circle, where we're in a kind of a visceral, sovereign, heart-to-heart connection with Creator, with God. There's no longer that this filter. I mean, Jesus was the one who said, just amano, just go right to God. You don't have to go through the church. You don't have to go through the rabbi.
Yeah.
And it's like, like he, so we know what happened to him, but in the future that they took that same filter and put it up on top of the pyramid. Okay, you got to go through Jesus now in order to get to God, and it's all that's going away because of this increased lights that's showing us that we are sovereign beings that have an ability to connect directly.
Oh my dude, man, mind blowing, man. That really, really resonates with me. About these centers where they set up because they know these are ley lines and they're able to amplify and like, dude, what about the computer? I mean, like, think about what the computer does. It puts propaganda right in your face for all the great stuff. They're like, okay, we're going to give them a bunch of this, but we're also going to give them this, right? This little stuff, man. And now that Twitter's dying, Instagram will never die. As long as there's hot chicks out there, it will be around. But everything else is like really wearing out because people are waking up to what is being done. And, I don't know what your beliefs are. You kind of brought it up before, but I believe in a parasite elite class. Whether they are, you could say reptilians that might make people run off and call you, crazy person, but whatever they are, and whatever deal they made or whoever they bred with, they're a different class. They feed off of our energy. And you kind of brought it up. They want to get out of this prison planet, right? And they're figuring out how they can kind of take our bodies and then just get out of here. This is what they're trying to do. This is all about transhumanism and all that stuff. What is your take on all that?
Well, it's the end game. You know, they're pulling out all the stops, trying to prevent this from happening, and it's kind of inevitable that from what I've heard, that there's this they've done this remote viewing into the future, and they try different scenarios to try to change the outcome, but the outcome is always, no matter what they do, is the light wins.
The light wins, man.
The light wins, yeah. So.
I believe
so they still keep trying, you know, and the light, you know, what is the light? You know, there's this thing called a galactic plasma sheet that undulates around the galaxy, you know, and mountains and troughs and you know, as we rotate around the galaxy, we go through these undulating sheets, and we're right now at a threshold of entering in one of those sheets where we're, you know, they call it the photon belt, you know, and when we enter into that, the atmosphere of light and high frequency, you know, just, you know, like those kind of like high hertz frequency sounds that people play with on the net, you know, it's like when we go into that, it's in an atmosphere that the bugs, you know, can't handle. So, and you know, as we go through that, there's this renewal of the magnetic field, and then we head into a new civilizational period. So we're in for a ride, you know, but the ride enables us to become free of these parasites that will, you know, kind of eat our emotions and live off of, you know, there are these critters that, you know, are for the most part kicked off the planet now from all the scuttlebutt, but called the Archons.
Yeah, dude, there we go. We're in it.
When did the ride start?
So, you know, they thrive or thrive off of pain, suffering, and fear. So they, you know, that, you know, the programming is all about that. You know, what movie doesn't have a gun in? Yeah. What movie doesn't have fear? So it's stimulating. You know, I mean, this emotion is just this really precious commodity, I guess. You know, so,
no, it really is.
So we're ranched, kind of. You know, we're ranched by the parasites who stimulate certain emotions so that the Archons can feed off of those emotions. So if we don't buy into that anymore, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, the game's over.
No, I totally agree with that. Listen, I've been saying this forever. It's like, I don't care who you are. If you're Klaus Power Bottom Schwab, okay, I don't care. You're not bigger than the universe, man, and you are operating in a place of scarcity. You are trying to bring pain and suffering to others and to control people and to lower people's frequency. And that's not how the universe works. You know, most of the people I know that are doing wonderful things in their lives are people who have helped others. They go out, they help others arise, raise up, and the universe rewards them for that. You know, and these people at the top, you know, Bill Gates and all these people, they're not doing any of that. They are all low frequency parasites, and they're not bigger than the universe. And they're going to lose. Could it get real ugly before that? Definitely possible. But man, at the end of the day, you are not more powerful than the universe. You are not bigger than the universe. You're not more powerful than love. And listen, dude, I'm a knuckle dragger. Okay, like saying the power of love is like I get a like a visceral reaction to it because I grew up and, you know, like that love Hallmark. That's stupid, you know.
Running and gunning.
Yeah, I'm a runner and gunner, man. But you know, in my life, I have learned that, dude, it is all about love.
Yep, and abundance. You haven't said that in a while.
And
Abundance.
dude, I practice it every day. Every day. And these guys they seem to be winning, but where are they winning? Like, you could tell who watches the news too much. You could see it in their eyes. They look like they own 1,000 cats, right? And they just have this look.
Well, yeah, because you're carrying burdens that aren't yours when you start watching the news. You know, I mean, you're just wearing a weight that you don't own it. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't know about any of that shit. Most of it's fake anyway. But even if it isn't, you shouldn't know about it. You're not meant to.
Yeah, and it's just like it gives you a war that can never be won.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting though, watching the news. Well, I don't watch the news typically. I'm out here in Arizona and I don't have a TV and whatever. Just ABC, NBC, and all that stuff, and Fox. It's like, well, when I do, like hear a news program, it's like, man, this is all emotionalism. It's like there's no news anymore. They're not. I mean, I grew up with Walter Cronkite, or just the story, and this thing is just all emotional. Hear all the voices going up and it's like I can't handle it. But a lot of people are just being particularly Fox is whatever the content is, I don't judge, but it's the emotionalism that is broadcast along with the news. Hits your body in a very negative way that kind of changes your mind and makes you think in these bizarre ways that what are you talking about, I'm not your enemy, I'm your brother, come on,
and it used to be 1 hour a day. News 1 hour a day.
Yeah.
And if you caught it, you missed. If you didn't, you did it. Now it's all day long.
Somebody.
Yeah, now it's all day long.
Yeah.
And people just turn it on. But even if you take all of the, like there's that famous meme that came out about Joe Rogan's podcast getting 11 minutes, and then you put them all together. That's maybe if you put them all together, 15 million people? Like we're a country of 70 million? So how is that working? How is that getting out? How is that causing this kind of trauma? And it's got to be through our computers,
and to top it off,
or
at the airport,
ley lines,
or the airports. You've been at the airports. That's another thing they don't consider. How many people aren't really watching?
No, they actually do.
Do they?
That's why Rachel Maddow has any viewers, because they're making senior citizens in old homes and airport people and hotel lobby people have to watch that stuff. That's the only way they get ratings. But and it's both sides, dude. If you talk to people from the year 2000, go, hey man, in the year 2020, people think Fox News is the voice of reason and MSNBC's the crazy people. They'd be like, get out of here, you're nuts. But that's how it is. It just goes back and forth from who's the crazy one, who's the voice of reason, when in reality, they're both the voice of crazy. They're there to...
The intention is to create polarity.
Yeah.
And polarity consciousness separates you from unity consciousness. That's simple as that.
Obviously, I'm about to turn 50, like in about 9 months, 10 months, 12 months, man, maybe. Yeah. No, 10 months. And I've seen a lot in my life, and I'm blessed, and hopefully, because I just had daughters that I'll live long enough to help them get on their feet and go do wonderful stuff. That's my goal in life, But, the more and more I watch, the more and more this darkness in pop culture is brazen. It's very brazen. It's very much out there. In the past, when it was like pushed into counterculture and people loved it, shit at the devil, because like they were railing against the system. Now it's the system that is pushing this out. It used to be counterculture. Now it's like Sesame Street has Satan worshipers on it. And it's for real. That's really happening. And then the music has got such lyrics in it that I don't think some of these kids know what they're singing. And
no, of course not. Yeah.
And maybe you could say that for my generation too, when we were listening to, Slayer or whoever it was. It was that was the tiny incremental start to it, and we saw it as an outside thing. Do you get worried about that when you see, like, I don't know how deep you're into magic and all that stuff, but like the symbolism and all that stuff that we see in pop culture and all that stuff. And now you're telling me about ley lines and where all these things are, and how not only through the internet, but not just energy wise, how it's being shot out and across everybody. Is that a concern for you?
Yeah, sure. If I wasn't concerned, I'd be a pretty dead-hearted person. But
Yeah.
It's I can say I don't know the examples you cited, but it's definitely, again, it's just that polarity thing, trying to incite Christians to come up, and get the devil worshippers, and and the devil worshippers are quote are kind of like lumped into this whole emergent consciousness movement. And that kind of conveys this idea that if you're involved with this emergent consciousness, that you're anti-Christian. So again, it just generates this polarity, and the media is very much playing all this because it's their tool to undermine this movement. From really taking root in the soul of the planet.
Well, I mean, the media calling January 6th a terrorist attack. It's just like,
well, that's just theater.
It's trying to get America.
It was freedom of assembly that got out of control. There wasn't a foreign terrorist movement that was there trying to destroy the government. It was just some people who were expressing some frustration over what transpired, and it's like that they have every right to be frustrated. It's like, come on, tell me the truth. Yeah. I want to know the truth. And everything, since 9/11, I've been in construction all my life, and it's like when I saw, live watching the Twin Towers go down, and it was like, I said, man, that's a controlled demolition.
Yeah,
I've seen 100 of them happen, and it's like, I just can't believe that people bought that. So they rely on this thing called cognitive dissonance that they just can't face the truth of it, because what would that mean? That would mean that our government was complicit in killing 2,500 of our own people and taking down these two buildings and starting a war that by terrorists that didn't exist. So after that, I didn't believe the Warren Commission from JFK. It's just. It's like nobody's telling the truth. We have free energy devices out there that could create an incredible dynamic economy. Imagine if we had free energy, what we could do creatively, and entrepreneurially, the economy would just blossom, but it wouldn't blossom with oil and gold, the nuke plants would have to be shut down. The coal plants would, there wouldn't be any use for them anymore. So, God, it's frustrating,
No,
So
it is because
how do you believe an election is true or not? How do you believe that's true?
I was just saying this yesterday. Like, there are no facts anymore. There's no facts. There's only interpreting of information through the prism of your political views, and right and wrong is gone. It goes back to what you were just talking. We have made even the most intellectual of human being emotional. It's all from emotions, dude. Everything. It's like the Dave Chappelle thing. His whole joke was like this, this comic got in big trouble because he did a joke about how this one rapper got in trouble for doing what they consider to be homophobic jokes when he was, he openly admits he murdered somebody in a Walmart, right? And they were more mad at the jokes than they were at the fact that this guy had killed somebody in a Walmart. And that was his point. Like, the emotion is really bad and is more important than actual behavior. So, but this has all been done over time. And, and a big thing, especially when you get into the conspiracy world, you start looking for symbols. Have you noticed how, and maybe I could be wrong this, that they've inverted symbols, meaning symbols that used to have wonderful spiritual meanings have now been turned into dark symbolism. And that's done purposely so people can't connect to their past. Yeah. I'm with you.
That's happening for sure. Yeah, there's just the prime example in the 20th century was the swastika. That to me, that's a holy symbol. That's a holy symbol of the vortex. That's the Urus Major spinning around the North Star. It's it's in Jewish symbology. It was in Hindu symbology, Native American symbology. The vortex symbol of the Nazi swastika robbed the world of an expression of life. That which expresses life, the vortex, which is in all things. Vortexes are us. Is all of a sudden a symbol of death and tyranny and Nazism and destruction of the world and all the attendant things of World War II.
And that was done purposefully.
The perversion of the divine, right, is one of, it's right out of Satan's playbook. If you go, even by traditional Christian beliefs, twisting things and changing their meanings is right out of the Satan playbook.
Yeah, the symbol, in the Pentagon, the pent is a life form. It has all these 5 proportions within it. Just like our human body. So we have 5 digits as a form, and so it was kind of bastardized, or I don't know, that's the wrong word. It was made evil because the pentagram is inverted and. And that was, it was just an energetic tool used by the priest class or, the witches. And, to cast it, give a spell power, give it life, so you create a pent and you write your spell, your intention, and then the intention gets the life force of the pentagram put into it. So, now we have, the Pentagon, that was specifically designed to counteract the swastika, so they use that as a form, and so that's. So that there's this association of both good and evil, with the pent. But here we have this military-industrial complex that's kind of thriving on war and our economy. We're all complicit in this. Profit by suffering.
The FBI made the swirl, the pedal sign, and people still fucking put it on their shirts to have it on everywhere. And it's like, have you not?
Because that's actually the sign of the universe. That's what we're doing right now. They've actually what was it called, Johnny? Perversion
of the divine.
Of the divine. That's actually the symbol for the universe, the squirrely circle. So that's what they do. So now when you
butterfly too, you know how they did it with the butterfly as well.
Project Monarch. It's just like the more and more I study this stuff, the more and more I think the world is ran by sorcerers. And
as well, not to kick the LGBTQ community, but the rainbow is now, which was a symbol of joy and
leprechauns
being gay, The gayness of life, the beauty of life, the great hope, that was given Noah after the flood, it's become a symbol of homosexuality, and I'm fine with homosexuality, but I want my rainbow back,
God's promise to let people do it in the butthole,
Johnny with the deep analysis.
Instead of gold, you find a butthole.
Yeah, we're all multiple expressions of the divine, and the divine has all sexes and all pleasures and all joys, all wrapped up into one being, and if we're expressions of this, sure, we're going to express a male, female, and any series of different proportions in that way. But I miss my rainbow.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you back the rainbow, bro. You can.
Thank you.
I had it for Care Bears. I just want the Care Bears to get it back. Remember the Care Bear with the
the rainbow on
just
it. Yeah,
blasted it in your face.
We're going through an interesting phase. I love this ley line discussion, dude, about all these different major things that are on these ley lines. We'll wrap it up here. The Great Pyramid, Nile to Stonehenge, the Kaaba in Mecca. I mean, they're all on there, and it goes back to our 40th parallel conversation. Like, this is it just doesn't randomly happen. Very smart people knew exactly where to put all these things and what they represent and and now that we know these things are basically energy amplifiers, man, it totally makes sense. It all comes together on why these things are where they are. So interesting, man.
Yeah. And the more we get into a collective awareness of them, the more empowered they become. So that's, there was an incident in LA back in 05, where a Shoshone medicine man a rainmaker came to make it rain in the LA basin. And it was in the papers and everything. Well, he assembled a crew of people and worked this large scale geometry that was 250 miles across. And they did it to bring rain to the Big Bear Lake area. And after the ceremony, with this collective consciousness arrayed in a geometry that of the sacred water, that entrains the planet. It generated a sky river that actually brought water to LA for a rainstorm that lasted 6 weeks. I don't know if you remember that, if you were in LA at the time, but they tried to sue this rainmaker, the Shoshone singer rainmaker, because he created so much damage from all those rains.
Oh my God, dude!
LA couldn't handle that 6 weeks worth.
No,
of
dude,
rain
we
right
couldn't.
Now. We'd have flooded.
We couldn't handle 5 days. People were crying, please.
Oh yeah. Well, it did create $3 billion worth of damage.
So interesting.
So, it's like that Disney movie Fantasia has this Mickey with his broom, and then, he gets lazy. So he uses the incantation of the wizard to make the broom carry his water for him. And he didn't know how to stop the broom from carrying water. And he just flooded the whole place. And it's, you're playing. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
You're playing with fire here, and or you're playing with water, and that there's a lot of responsibility in that. Yeah, the intention has to be clear. You have to be clear in order to work these energies. So unless you are, I wouldn't recommend going out and trying to make it rain.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. You see a lot of this stuff happening. People messing with the dark arts, not understanding what they're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe diving a little too deep into it. And, and I just.
There's a lot of entities out there that are willing to hop on board
and be a part of it. Do you believe in spirits and all that stuff? Do you believe in those and entities and spirits and yeah, man, I do too, dude.
Yeah.
I think this place is way more interesting.
You always talk about portals. You think ley lines could be portals?
I don't know.
Like way ins, way outs?
Yeah, like one of the biggest portals on the planet is Yellowstone caldera, and there's just flowing out of that portal is just a tremendous amount of ley lines just going in all directions. It's just so that wherever you get this upwelling of energies, there's this upwelling of energies, and often you find ETs going into volcanoes, and that's
what
Hollow Earth.
Hollow Earth and getting down there.
Do you believe in Hollow Earth, sir?
I believe that there's caverns down there that a lot of the folks that were on the surface that can't handle the radiation move down below, and they're living there, and they have a relationship with the ET civilizations.
I'm sorry. All right. Well, you say they can't handle the radiation. Are these people that were evolved in a different climate on Earth, or different radiation level, or if they're from other planets? I wasn't quite clear.
Well, both.
Okay. Interesting.
Jeez, dude. Jeez.
That's what makes me think that Antarctica is the fucking
something's going on, dude.
Something's going on.
Yeah,
over
something's
there.
going on up there. Yeah.
Man, I am. This has been a great episode, man. Peter, I could talk to you forever. I hope. I
appreciate it. We could. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Anytime, brother. We could go deep. There's so much we can go into, man. It's almost so smart. I can't even understand it because I am trying my hardest. But man, it was like, it's really good stuff. It's like, I get it. I just could talk this forever. I could sit here with you for like 2 hours and just pick your brain about all of it, because I just think it's so much more interesting than what everybody's being told. I just think it's like, and the question is like, you got to go see these things. You can't understand until I think you see them and understand the power of them. And I think that's something I'd like to do in my life, is go explore the pyramids and stuff like that and see what those are, and find other places where there's ley lines and try to feel that energy and all that stuff. Man, Peter, thank you for coming on. Once again, Peter, if people wanted to find you, what are your websites they can look at?
Let's see. I just put out the begging bowl on Patreon, so if you have any Medici listening, I could really use some a new pickup truck and a new computer. It's Geometry of Place. Geometryofplace.com is my website. Gaia Matrix is my, backside. Gaia Matrix is my book. You can find that either on Google Play. I think it's a free download, or you can get an archival signed copy if you send me some money. And that's also on the website. You can contact me at my name, Peter Champoux, which translates rock of the field, and at Gmail.
You want me to include that in the
I always respond to my inquiries about these. People call or write and say, "What about this?" And I say whatever I can. I'm open to getting this information out, and it's my service to do so. My main client is the planet, and she doesn't pay too good.
Well, I think you're wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. Peter, we'll do it again. And anything I can do to help, please don't hesitate to ask. And don't hang up. But yeah, hey, man, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode tonight. Again, I'm going to be in San Luis Obispo. And I got so many dates are now up on my calendar. So please go check that out, and I would love to see you guys live. I love you guys very much. Thank you for all the support, and have a great week. Take care, everybody.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Tinfoil hack.